Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to be here. We thank you for the technology that we have, that we can gather with pastors and ministry leaders from around the country and talk about very important things such as reaching new people for the kingdom. Lord, we thank you for the ministry leaders, for their heart for the kingdom, for the heart for the people in their communities. And Lord, I pray that what we discuss today and the things that they're able to implement has an impact and reaches people and helps people to come to Christ, to place their faith and trust in him. And so we just thank you for this time, and we love you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. So welcome. My name is Jason Day, and I'm the Director of Ministry Development here at Outreach, headquartered in beautiful Colorado Springs. And I've served for over 20 years in pastoral leadership, and the majority of that time as a lead pastor. And so I understand the value of reaching new families and introducing them to the hope of Jesus, and also connecting them into your church, where they can find a place to grow in their faith, where they can experience a sense of belonging through biblical community. And so it's very important as we consider how we can best impact our cities and our towns to be thinking about how we can connect with new people, obviously. Really, that is what we're all about here at Outreach. We're focused on building bridges throughout your community and extending the hope and truth of Jesus in your cities and towns. That's so important to us here at Outreach. Our team of more than 140 individuals are passionate about coming alongside of your ministries in your churches. You know, we see ourselves as partners in the kingdom with you. And we're just seeking to help equip every church to reach every single person with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we define outreach as building bridges to the unchurched in order to share the gospel more often and more effectively. And as you see on the screen, this bridge is important. There is a chasm, a gap oftentimes between our churches and our communities. And so building those bridges that people can move out of the church into the community, and people from the community can move back into the church is vitally important. And without a doubt, reaching families who have recently moved into your area is an extremely effective way to build these bridges. Now here at Outreach, we have lots of different resources and tools to help you build those bridges, from movie events like the Case for Christ, holidays and seasonal events, Vacation Bible School, Easter, Advent, Christmas. We have church campaigns that the church can host. We have our outreach websites to help you have that digital presence. We have speakers that we can help connect to your church through our speakers bureau that allows you to have events where these speakers come in and share their testimonies, share their faith, and then many other outreach events like Back to Church Sunday and a variety of others. So we're always working and thinking and prayerfully developing ways that churches can reach and build these bridges into their community. And once you build a bridge, you have to really connect people into your church. And so studies demonstrate that people decide in the first 5 minutes, really, if this is going to be their church home. So first impressions are important. So we provide a lot of resources around that as well, from signage, outdoor banners, flag banners, parking lot signs, directional banners, so that people have clarity when they're inside your church as to where they need to go, where the children's ministries are, and those types of things. Stage decor, and then even bulletins. You know, all of these things create a first impression. And so we at Outreach are here to help churches have a good first impression. So you have your outreach efforts, you're building these bridges, and then when people have the opportunity to walk through the doors of your church, we want to help you help them connect to the ministries of your church. I'm so excited to be sharing with you today about our new mover program. It's such a great tool for churches. It's simple, it's cost effective, and most of all, it just absolutely works. Now, new mover programs aren't really something that's all that new. They've been around for a long time. Just the way we approach it here at Outreach is much different than how it's been done for many decades, really. So the old days, there was a time when churches were ordering mailing lists from companies. They were formatting those lists, printing them on adhesive labels. They're creating a letter or a postcard of some sort. They're printing out those letters. They're attaching the mailing labels, adding postage, and then dropping them off at the post office, right? So it was quite time consuming. And perhaps you've experienced this yourself over your years of ministry, but many times those lists would not even get used because at some point in that long manual process, something would either come up in the life of the church that kind of took priority, or the list would just get overlooked. And so the old way, although it might have worked for a time, it was very time consuming, and oftentimes it would drop off. It wouldn't get done because it just wouldn't be seen as a priority. Today, through the New Mover program here at Outreach, things are much different. They're much simpler and much more effective. And they're effective for a number of reasons, and we'll get into that throughout the webinar. But I am going to actually walk you through a live demo to show you just how simple it is to reach new families moving into your area. I'll be doing that later in the webinar, and we'll show you how you can easily set it up once, and it keeps working for you month after month, inviting new families into your church. Now, I want to talk for just a moment about the value of systems. As we know, ministry is very relational. God is all about relationships. The church is really all about relationships, right? And so one of the important lessons that I've learned over the years is that sometimes as pastors, we can get caught up in trying to keep so many different things moving, and we can get bogged down in those kind of behind the scene things to the point where it limits our time when it comes to building relationships. So how can we free up time to develop more relationships? Well, it's very helpful for us to incorporate some systems to handle much of the behind the scenes administrative tasks, so we can really focus on the people that God has entrusted to us, and we can focus on building relationships with new people in our communities. So our Outreach New Mover program is one system that you can incorporate into the ministries of your church, and it's a system that will set you up for success when it comes to not only connecting with new families, but also, and this is so important, freeing up your time and the time of your staff and the time of your volunteers so that all of you can really be investing in people. Because again, relationships are absolutely key. And so this is a great system that you can implement at your church to help keep that priority on reaching new people, but do it in such a way that it frees you all up to build into those relationships. Now, there are 5 times in life when people are most open to church. And many studies have demonstrated this. You've probably heard this already, but those 5 times are moving, when a family moves, marriage, when a family has children. Oftentimes, when they have children, they begin thinking about how they're going to be raising children, and oftentimes that leads them to a local church. Divorce, and then death. And so these are the 5 major times when people are really most receptive to seeking out a church. Now, what's interesting is that several of these life events often coincide with a new move. So not only do you have a family moving into the community, but oftentimes marriage leads to a move, right? People get married, maybe they're coming out of college, they get married, starting a new job, and they're moving into a new community. Children, sometimes whenever people have children, they're moving into a new area, a new neighborhood. Maybe they lived in an area where school systems weren't the greatest, or it was more of an urban downtown area, and so they're having children, they're moving into a larger home, and they make that move. Divorce, oftentimes divorce happens, someone is making a move. And then even death. In fact, just this past month, I was having a conversation with a young married couple who are moving to another state to care for elderly family member who had lost a spouse. And so sometimes in these moments of death, even, you have moves associated. So really in all of these 5 times, new people moving into community often happen. And so this is when people are open to church and checking out churches and finding a place where they can connect and belong. So why new movers? Over 100,000 people move every day in the US, and that's just It's just a staggering statistic. So every single day, people are moving. A lot of people are moving. And when people move into a new community, oftentimes they're more open to building relationships because they don't already have relationships established. So they're looking to build those relationships and to develop some friendships. New movers are more open to trying something new, right? This is a new time in their life. It's a fresh time. For many people, it's a new start. And so they're looking and open to trying something new. Statistics show that 10 to 50% are looking for a new church. So as people move into the community, either because of a life change or maybe they're moving and they're already established. They've been established at the church in another state, and now they're moving and they're looking for a place to kind of plug in, to be a part. So not only do you have the opportunity to reach new people who've not yet made a commitment to Christ, you have the opportunity to connect your church to faithful Christ followers who are new in your community. And then studies also show that new movers are more likely to read and respond to direct mail for the first few months as it's coming into their home. So new movers are a key area where if a church is really focused on reaching new families, new movers just brings together a lot of different aspects that really make it a great place to invest your time and your energy. So why direct mail postcards? Direct mail is the simplest and most effective way to reach new movers in your community, hands down. Obviously, new movers are moving into a home. The homes have mailboxes. You can get into those mailboxes. So it's simple, and it is very, very effective. Postcards are seen, and they make an impression. So oftentimes, people don't see, like if a letter comes in an envelope, you really don't know what all's in there. But a postcard, immediately, as you pull it out of the mailbox, you see something. So it has that impression that they're seeing, that they're very visible. In fact, we work with a lot of church plants, and church plants are seeing a 57% higher launch attendance when using direct mail postcards versus those who are not using them. So it's obviously makes an impression, and we see this. Studies also indicate that direct mail has a 600% higher response rate than digital, which is a pretty staggering statistic in and of itself. So direct mail is tangible, right? It's something that people look at, they hold on to. It is really the only way to reach every home closest to your church. And of course, those homes are closest to your church, or oftentimes those are most likely to come because they're in your neighborhood. And direct mail has the opportunity to get into each of those homes. And then it helps you naturally create a new ministry. This is one of the things as a pastor I love about doing direct mail to new families moving in. It really opens up the opportunity for some new ministry. And we'll talk about this in a bit, but I just love the opportunity to get people engaged in serving a ministry, and New Mover program opens up those doors. So very, very cool. We have a customer testimony. Our CEO and our founder, Scott Evans, had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Eric Abel, and he is with a church in Seattle called A Seattle Church. And so I want you guys to listen in on their conversation to hear how Eric and his church is experiencing the New Mover program.
I want to share a customer testimony with you. We have Eric Abel on the phone, and he is the outreach and administration pastor at a new church that's just been around for 2 years or so, A Seattle Church. Eric, are you with us?
Yes. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, great. So Eric, share with us when your church started doing this and what the results have been so far.
Sure. Well, we've had a core group for a couple of years as a church plant, and then we officially launched in January as we moved into a new location, which is in the heart of the urban Seattle area. And so as we began to think about, what can we do to reach the community and just share with them about our way to love them and show God's love in our community, we just want to be really intentional about that. And so a few months back, we started a New Mover program. And we Last month, though, we were able to go in and do some more intentional targeting around our church based on carrier route, and the outreach tool was just really awesome because it allowed us to sort of pick and choose certain areas that we wanted to go into, and it was just amazing, the results. We started this, I think it was the beginning of August, and the second week in August we noticed an increase in visitors. We had 2 visitors come, and it's funny, one of them actually brought a card, our little card that you see on the screen there, with them. And I don't know why. I think it's because we have parking indicated on the card, so they're kind of using it as a map. But yeah, we had 2 new visitors the second week in August, and then the following week we had an additional 2 new members, and both of them came from our new mover mailing. And then this last Sunday, I don't know how many actually came from the new mover mailing, but we had 10 new visitors, which was a significant increase for us, and just helps us as we reach out to the community and create awareness.
Yeah, that's great, Eric. It's great to hear, just what's happened in the month of August for your church. And what I think is neat is that even though the mailing went out at the beginning of August and hit these new movers, you've had new people show up for the last 3 Sundays as a result of that.
Yeah, it's great, and we found that it's one of the only ways to reach people in an urban area like that. You think about these high-rises, condominiums that are all around us. We're only a half a mile away from Amazon. They're just packing people in there at I don't know how many a month, but thousands a month, new people coming in, working there. And because a lot of them have security in their condominium complexes and concierge that you can't really get in those buildings, and mailings are great because they can just get right in there into the mailboxes.
Yeah. Now, Eric, we're looking at a custom design, right, that you guys did this design. We added in the personalization. So I see there on the front of your invitation, "We love our city, a Seattle church," and then it says, "Hi, first name of the recipient."
Yes.
And then it's personalized on the back with the first name of the recipient also.
Yes. Yeah, that's just an effective way to just bring warmth to the mailings. I know that I think people, particularly in the high technology area that we're in up here, well, I think everybody really is just so accustomed to dealing with things in the digital space, emails and things like that. And it's kind of nice to have something that's warm, tactile, that comes in the mail, that it just presents a great thing for the church's brand.
Yeah, that's great, and we'll be talking a little bit later about your options as far as doing a custom, either customizing one of our designs, using a design that your designer provides from your church, or having one of our designers do a custom design like this for your church. So we'll be talking about that. Well, Eric, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to join us today and just to share your church's experience with the New Mover program.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
So there you have a good testimony from a church who's using it, and it's engaging their new movers, and a lot of things that Eric touched on, and we'll be addressing that as we move along in the webinar. But one of the big questions that we get is, is this good stewardship? And studies indicate that average giving in churches is about $1,000 per person, including children, per year. And so with that, a church attendance of around 100 often will have a budget of around 100,000. A church with attendance of 1,000 have a budget of about $1 million. And as we're looking at this, the average new mover subscription cost for the churches that we work with are $948 per year. It's about $79 a month. It equates to 100 cards going out to people who've moved into the community. And so just one person joining the church in a year really covers the entire investment. So as we're looking at doing outreach and being intentional about how we connect with people, this is a very good way to go about that, because it's practicing good stewardship. So now I want to just take a moment and jump into the live demo, and this gets pretty exciting. I love this tool, how we've developed it here at Outreach, and it's just one of these awesome tools that helps you kind of get a feel for how this can be used in your church. So let me jump over to our Outreach website. real quickly. Here we go. So if you just go to outreach.com, it'll pull up our website. And if you go over to postcards, hover over that, you can see the New Mover Outreach Program. So when you click on that, it'll take you to our New Mover site, and very, very self-explanatory. The thing I love about this tool is it walks you straight through it. So basically what we'll do is we'll plug in the address. So you'd plug in the address of your church. We'll use our address here at Outreach. And away it goes. So you notice there are pop-ups throughout this entire tool that just kind of guide you through it piece by piece. So basically get started, it says click the select region button in the upper right corner, then use your mouse to draw a circle around the area that you want to mail to. We've got it. So here's the select region. Now you'll notice there is the marker that shows where your address is. So this is us here at Outreach. So that would be your church. Just select the region, and you just come down here and you can draw a circle. So it's about, if you notice, it shows the radius. So it's about 1.5 miles around around our location. And as soon as I let go of that, it pulls up all the information to kind of walk us through this. So you can adjust your carrier route selection. You can add routes by drawing another circle. You can remove routes. You can start completely over by resetting the map. So a few different things we can do here. You can, move in and take a peek. And so let's say you like what you see here, but you realize that, you're probably not going to really be reaching people out in this particular area. So you might click that, and it will remove that. And so as it removes it, you see that the monthly cost and all the information on the right-hand side will change and update automatically. So as you take off different carrier routes or add different carrier routes, everything will automatically update. So what we see here, so let's say we're going with this. You'll see that at the bottom, it shows new movers by month in that particular area that is highlighted over here. And it's up here, it says that there's an average of 144 movers per month. So across the year, we average 144. So your estimated monthly cost will be right around $113.76. We see that up here at the top as well. Now, this is based on nonprofit mail rate, which is 79 cents. And if your church does not yet have a nonprofit rate set up or the authorization set up, you can contact one of our outreach specialists, and they will walk you through the whole process. It's absolutely free, so you can get that nonprofit mailing rate. You have your estimated monthly cost here. This shows your estimated monthly maximum cost. So what this has done is it's gone back across the last 12 months and looked at the biggest month of movers. It's 189 movers that particular month. So based on the last year, your maximum cost would be right around $150. And then your minimum cost, which would be the smallest amount of movers in a month, was just over $90. So basically, you can go in here again, you can click on these different carrier routes, you can remove them, you can even go to a different area of town if you want and say, hey, we have a lot of people living down here, we'd like to add in this area, and you just select the region, you just say, hey, we've got people in this neighborhood, maybe we'd like to mail out to them, and it adds that. So very handy. You can scroll around, you can add different neighborhoods, you can remove different neighborhoods, and as you do that, you notice on the right-hand side, it automatically updates. So once you've got your map kind of set, where it is you want to reach out to new movers, then you just simply hit next step. This is a feature that we have. Some churches choose to put a cap on the number of postcards they send out each month. And so for budgeting reasons, they say, hey, we have a maximum. If there's a maximum number of postcards that you want to send, you can set this limit. So whatever you type in there, so let's say only be 100. So then you see nonprofit postage will be $79 a month, standard will be $89 a month. Now, most of our churches don't cap. they want to send to everyone who's moved into the area, because throughout the year, there are different times when more families move in, and so they don't want to miss out on any of those opportunities. So they don't cap. They say, hey, we want to reach every single new mover. So then you click the next step after you make that decision. And we have this really cool feature called MultiReach. And MultiReach gives you the opportunity to have 2 touches with a new mover rather than just one. So really how it works is one postcard will be delivered in the first week of the month, and then 2 weeks later, another postcard would be delivered. So within the month's time, that new mover will receive 2 invitations from your church. And obviously, multiple invitations have a better reception rate and more engagement from people. So if you click better, this is basically saying you're sending 2 postcards each month, and you'll notice the cost on the right-hand side of the screen basically doubled, because 2 postcards are going to be sent in. So you can make the decision, do you want to do just 1 postcard, or would you like to do 2? So let's say we're going to go with 2. So we move to the next step. Now this is a super cool feature that our churches absolutely love. So let's say you're just starting this new mover program and you want to kind of do a jump start. So rather than your first month just mailing those people who have moved in over that past month, let's say that you'd like to reach back in time a little bit and hit all the movers that have moved in over several months. So you can go back 1 month, you can go back 2 months, you can go back maybe all the way to the first of the year. And then what will happen is the cost of however many people moved in each of these months, those invitations, will be added to your first month's bill. And so you can reach out to, so let's say you want to go back 3 months and reach people over the past 3 months who have recently moved in. You can do that. If you look over here on the right-hand side, you'll see the amount of the jump start. And this is based on the average of how many people are moving into that area per month. So if you notice, this figure over here changes based on how many months we choose to jump start. So let's say we choose to back up a couple months and do a jump start. We click to our next step. This is fun. This is where we get to pick our designs, right? Now, right now we're doing MultiReach, so we're sending 2 cards every single month. So when you do MultiReach, you have the option of sending the same design invitation both times, or you can choose to send 2 different invitations. So you can go take a look, and if you like a particular design, and there are all kinds of designs in here, our designers are creating new designs. So you can go through and peek through. Whoops. Sorry, guys. Yay. Love technology. Sorry, I swiped the wrong way. So I'm going to do this real quickly for you and get us right back in where we were. So let's say we want to take off some of these. And I'll get us back to that design section so you can see all the different designs we have. And like I said, when you're doing MultiReach, you can use 2 separate designs. The other thing you'll notice on the designs is that you have the opportunity to personalize many of them. And we'll talk a little bit more about the importance of personalization and the value of that. But a lot of our designs are created in such a way that you can just go right in and personalize them. So we're going to just move quickly back to designs. So let's say this is a particular design that you want. Again, there's several here, but you can just select the design. Welcome to the neighborhood. Yes, I want to use this design, or you can say, nope, we're going to keep browsing. But let's say this one's clean. It makes sense with the branding of your church, so you can click on that. And there you have your design. Now, you can always go back and change the design if you want, if you decide you don't really love that. But let's say this is the design we're going to go with. Next step, confirm your selections. Now, amount due today, $79, and that's the setup fee to get the new mover program set up and get your first card customized and get everything going. Your estimated monthly cost, we'll see over here, that's mainly to a big group now in this, 353 people, so $278.87. Of course, if you want to keep it down to around 100 people, you'll be down around $79 a month. So after that, you can just add it to your cart. It'll take you into our cart system, and then you have the opportunity to check out. Now, the cool thing is I told you that we're going to have a special promotion for those of you who are on the webinar, and I'll get that to you at the end, but that promotion is going to waive this entire fee. So you'll be able to start up literally for free. Yeah, so you also have the opportunity to customize your design, and I'm going to show you some examples of that here in a minute. So let's say you look at our designs and you say, you know, really, we've got some designers in the church, we've got something specific that we'd like to do. Then basically, you can pop over here and upload your own custom design. So here's some examples, and the example from the Seattle church, that was a custom design. Here's some other custom designs that churches have done. And so you have a couple different options. One, you can design it yourself and upload it. The other option is that our team, our designers, can create a custom design for you. And there's a design fee for that if we're doing a complete custom design. But remember, the designs that we already have there, you are able to load, customize the back of those cards with your own messaging. You're able to load up we create a map for your church there. Your church's logo, your church's contact information can all be uploaded. And that's all available to you free whenever you set up your initial card. So moving right along, the big question a lot of people ask is, what about this idea of personalization? Many of those designs, you'll see a person's name or a family's name. So it might be going out to the Smith family, and that's incorporated actually in the design itself. And so that personalization is important because studies indicate that it increases the response rate up to 200%. So this Direct Mail Association did a complete study, and whenever direct mail is personalized within the design in some fashion, response rates increase quite dramatically. There's also the 2-second rule in direct mail. And basically, it means that you have 2 seconds to catch someone's attention. And whenever personalization, whenever someone sees their name incorporated in the design in some way, that kind of stops them, right? And so that helps you capture their attention. People hang on to these cards. It's interesting. We have stories from churches where people have hung the cards on the refrigerator and they hang on to them. And 6 months later, people come and visit the church and they bring in their invitation, because remember, God is always at work and we don't know what's going on in the life of these people that we're reaching out to. But they hang on to them, and you have the opportunity for them to come into the church at a later time. Also makes an impression about your church. I mean, think about it. Someone receives a card and it's personalized. One, it's telling them that your church cares about individuals. Your church cares about people. It also tells them that your church is intentional, right? You're intentional as you're reaching out to people. And also, oftentimes people who aren't really familiar with the church will think, the churches might be a little old school, a little old fashioned. And with this personalization, helps to demonstrate that your church is relevant, your church is kind of up to speed on things. So why don't more companies do this personalization? As far as we know, we are the only company here at Outreach. We are the only company that does personalization with new mover programs. It does take time. It takes a lot more time to do that. We have to use special equipment that we have in our facility here. It's a much more intensive setup process. And so it's not easy, but we know that it is effective, and it is our desire. We want your churches to get the absolute best results. So we really encourage this personalization. And here are a couple of examples. You can see how it's personalized. This postcard comes in the mail. Joe's name is on it, or Joseph's name is on it. We have several designs. Most all of our designs, in fact, you can personalize, have the person's name put on it, or maybe the Smith family, something along those lines, but really just to personalize it. So let's talk about mailing lists, because often people have questions about our mailing lists. It's interesting, nearly 1/3 of people who move do not report their address change to the U.S. Postal Service, which means it's difficult to kind of build your own accurate list of people who who have moved. Our new mover outreach program pulls from a variety of very credible sources to find new movers in your area. And so where does that data come from? Several different places. Data comes from utility company hookups, magazine change of addresses, property titles and deeds from county records, other public records, and all this information, all this data is brought together so that we can determine those who are moving into the area. We remove people who have moved within the same zip code. So oftentimes people moving within the same zip code obviously aren't necessarily looking for a new church. So we pull those out so that you're mailing directly to those people who are really new to your community. The data is not perfect, although the company that we use for all of our data acquisition for new movers goes to great lengths to get the most credible data. Sometimes the data comes back and it's a little off. So sometimes someone might get a card who didn't recently move. But for the most part, we have worked really hard at having the best data, and we have great responses from our churches. So that's where the information comes from. Whenever you set up your new mover program, you have a dashboard that you can log into at any time. And basically, this means you have control. You can make changes to your carrier routes. So let's say things are going well and you like the way that the new mover program is working, and you'd actually like to expand and reach out to some additional carrier routes. Well, you can jump right in there and you can select additional carrier routes and add them. And the next time that the new mover goes out, it will go out to those new routes. You can make changes to your design, right? You can make changes into how many invitations are going out. You can see how many invitations have been mailed. So all this information is right there for you in your dashboard. Very, very handy. Let's talk about pricing for a moment. Now, I mentioned as we're going through the live demo that 79 cents per card with the nonprofit postage. And that 79 cents includes a lot, right? It's the customization of your design. So again, your church's logo, a map to your church, the messaging that you want to share with on the invitation with new movers. All of that information, all of that customization is included in that whenever you customize one of our designs. The printing of the postcards, the new mover list, the addressing of the postcards, the delivery to the local post office, and the postage for them to get mailed out to the homes. And the really cool thing is, and I absolutely love this, and as pastors you're going to love this too, because the pricing includes the new mover list being emailed to you every single month. So take a moment to think about this. That all of the people that we mail to an invitation to on your behalf, you get a list of all of them every single month. And so there are many things that you can do to this list. You can add this list to your church database so that you can reach out to them in other ways. And we'll talk more about following up. But I mean, the fact that you get that new mover list is key in how you approach reaching out to people who are new to your community. So pricing includes all of that. So it's a great value. So what should your expectations be? As you launch into the new mover program, you should see a steady stream of just a few visitors. Since you're not doing a large mailing of 5,000 or 10,000 invitations, you won't have as many people show up every week. But if you remember from the testimonial, Eric from a Seattle church, he was saying that they had 2 or 3 people showing up each week after a mailing. And what was interesting, and we hear this from a lot of our churches, is they'll have a couple people maybe that show up the week after the mailing hits, but then maybe the next week and the next week, they'll still have other visitors kind of trickling in. And so there's that lasting impact of that mailing. And of course, it depends on the number of cards mailed. So if you choose to mail 100 cards a month, if that's what you choose, then that's going to be different than if you're choosing to mail 350 cards per month. So that just makes sense. We encourage you to have a way to track newcomers who are coming into your church from your new mover cards. And there are a few different ways that you can go about that. Many churches have some sort of a connection card that people fill out. And if you have one of those, we encourage you to kind of put on there so that people can check a box that says, hey, I received a postcard invitation. That will give you an idea. Also, a lot of churches choose to go with a free gift. And so actually on the card, when they customize that card, they have in there, hey, bring this card in for a free gift. And then people are literally coming into the church carrying that card after the worship gathering. They're directed to a place where the pastors or ministry staff can meet them, get to know them. They bring their card there and they receive a free gift. So that's a great way to kind of track as well and get some feedback. Again, only one person in a year pays for this program. So it's a great way to reach out into your community. Churches have been on the program since we started this, and it's been over 6 years now, and churches have continued to be mailing week after week on this program. And so obviously it is working and is making sense for churches. And then we encourage people to use larger mailings for special events and for a bigger immediate response. So if you are doing something around Easter, if you're doing a community event around Easter, or as we're moving into summer, if you're doing a VBS, for example, you'd want to do one of our larger mailings, and we do that at Outreach as well. So you want to mail to a larger gathering, or larger crowd rather, and reach more people, and you get a bigger immediate response. The New Mover program is that consistent month in and month out, reaching new people in your community and allowing them to connect to your church. So I talked a little bit about the importance of follow-up, and I've got to tell you this: our churches that are seeing the greatest success with the New Mover program are those churches that have been intentional about following up. And so here are a handful of ideas on how you can follow up. One, as I mentioned earlier, you want to enter into your church database the list that you received every single month of these new movers. Because this gives you an opportunity. For example, if you do have VBS coming up, or a summer sports camp, or something going on, this gives you the opportunity to do a mailing to them. Or if the pastor wants to send a letter from the church, right? You have their addresses. So you can send a letter in addition to the postcard that's going out from the church. It could be a handwritten note, a personalized note from the pastor or from the ministry team. Also, some churches send a gift. So they have the information, and so they'll send a gift to the home and just kind of welcoming them to the community. Some churches, and this is what I was talking a little bit earlier about, I love as a pastor that this kind of can help launch a whole new ministry, because some churches actually have people deliver gifts in person, right? In some areas of the country, this makes great sense. And so you would have a team that would every month, would look through this list and would go out and visit these homes with maybe some churches do a coffee mug with some candy stuffed in it, or just something to share with them. And so you go out in person and visit these homes. Or the other thing is door hangers. You can have door hangers printed up. And we at Outreach, we do that as well, have them customized. And then every month you can have people on your ministry team who go out to these different homes that have already received a card from you, and they can hang a door hanger on their door, just another invitation, another touch, another way to connect with them. So there are lots of different ways that you can follow up, and really, and following up is the way that you can reach even more people on this list. So it's a great tool, great resource for you guys, and we really encourage you to jump on that. So the next thing is, I told you have the opportunity, because you hung out with us on this webinar, to start for free today. So there's that $79 value of the free customization of your card and the setup that we are completely waiving. The promo code is right here on the screen, NMWeb17. So you guys want to jot that down, NMWeb17. And you can head over to outreach.com/newmover, and you can plug that code in. And where you'll plug that in is at the end of the process. So you'll play around in there. You will draw your maps. You'll select your cards, all that fun stuff. And then when you get to the actual cart, there's a place there where you can plug in your promo code, and that promo code will pay that $79 customization and setup fee. It'll waive that fee for you. So the code's going to work until the end of the month. Another cool thing is there's no contract on this. You can come in and cancel at any time. So you can set it up. You can cancel at any time. You can also, as we mentioned, increase the number of cards. You can change the cards. You can do all of those things at any time through your dashboard. So again, outreach.com/newmover, or you can call 800-991-6011, and you can speak to one of our friendly outreach specialists who are here to help you set up your new mover program. So a lot of information, a lot of exciting things, a lot of great ways to really reach into the community. Again, this removes a lot of the time and the headaches and the hassle of trying to do this on your own. It's one of those systems that you can put in place and it becomes automated. It's personalized, customized, reaches people as they're moving into your community. Those are people that are most open to checking out your church and connecting with a new church. And so all of that's available to you. So at this time, we are going to open up for some more questions. I know we've had questions coming in, and Mark has been responding to some of those, but let's see what other questions we might have that we can share with. Wow, Mark is so awesome. Apparently he's answered every single question that's come in. So if anyone has any questions right now is a perfect time. Click that Q&A up in the top left-hand corner and type your question in the box, and we'd be happy to share that with you. So here's one great question. So let me touch on this. The question is, if no one moves into our community within a month, are we still charged for that month? Great question. Couple things. There are no monthly fees at all associated with this program. We want to make this as cost effective for our churches as possible. So we have no regular monthly fees. You are only charged for each card that actually gets mailed. So let's say, as we're going through that process and we set up, and let's say, the average was $150 a month, for example. That's what shows as the average. Well, if one particular month fewer people have moved into into your area that you've selected, then you'll be charged less because you're only charged that 79 cents per card that is actually mailed. And so it will fluctuate throughout the year based on the number of people that mail, but you're only being charged whenever we deliver an invitation from your church to a new mover in the community. So great question. And so I hope that clarifies the pricing. The rate is the rate that it is for a card, 79 cents for a card for nonprofit postage, or 89 cents per card for pre-sort standard postage rates. And again, you're only charged for whatever cards are actually mailed. So here's a good question. Live in a small town, don't have as many new movers in the course of a year, right? So it's a great question. Sometimes in rural communities, obviously you don't have as many people moving in and moving out. So whenever you're looking at that, there is a limit of 50 that kind of can cap, but we can actually send a lower amount. So if only 10 new people move in on a given month, we'll send out those 10 for you. So again, it is exactly however many happen to be moving in that particular month. That's how many we'll send, and that is how many you will pay for. So you can expand out, obviously, as we kind of showed on the map. You can expand out into other communities if your church can draw from those communities. So there are lots of ways for you to completely customize this and what makes sense for you. And so some of our churches in rural areas, they'll actually maybe expand out a little bit for a few months to see how that goes and see how that works, because you can always jump back in and take off some of those other carrier routes. We actually have a church in a rural area in North Carolina and they're only able, because of being in that area, they're only able to send out around 30 invitations a month, because that's how many new families are moving into their area, and they are still having a good response from that. So naturally, if there are fewer people, response might be lower, but then again, if you're in a rural area, you might be one of the few churches around, and so that could have a great impact. Are there more new questions coming in? So we have one question that came in and said, if our team does a custom card from scratch, completely designs it for you, what is the cost to have it done? It's a one-time fee of $95. And so you can have a complete custom design, look the way that you want to look, work with one of our designers, get that put together, one-time fee, $95, and that works for you. Like, what about it? So we have some questions coming in regard to the list that you receive each month. And so let me try to clarify that. So we will be sending out the cards on your behalf. They'll be sent out to new movers in your area. You will also receive via email the list of all those people who are mailed to. So you can take that list, that's your list, and you can use that to do follow-up with those people as much as you want. So most churches, what they do is they'll take that list every single month and they'll throw it into their church database. And so anytime that they're trying to reach out to families in the community, they have that. In fact, we have churches that they will take that list every single month and create that, just build that list up. And then whenever they do a mailing with us for, let's say, Mother's Day, or they're doing a mailing with us, they're doing a big fall kickoff or a fall event, they will actually send that list that they've been accumulating over, months to us and ask us to invite these people, as well as whenever we do a mailing out to, a bigger audience there in the area. So that list is very, very helpful. So for customizing the card, that takes place in the process. Whenever you're on the site and you see the different designs, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can select that you want to have a custom design done. Once you do that, what happens is there will be a form, and you go through the checkout. There'll be a form that is sent back to you to gather some information for you and to start that process and to kind of put you in connection with one of our in-house designers to walk you through that whole process. So we have one question for a change fee in regard to a design. So let's say you've been using one design for 6 months and you say, hey, I want to freshen up, let's go with a different design. You can log into your dashboard, you can go in, you can select a new design, and there is a $29.95 change fee to have our team switch everything over to a new design. So, but that is available. You can jump in and do that at any time. Some churches, some people have asked, do we have a particular number that we recommend churches send? And we try to encourage churches, if it makes sense, and again, if you're in a very rural area, this might be different, but if it makes sense to mail at least 100, try to reach 100 new movers a month. And so as you reach 100 new movers a month, that's kind of a good place to start, and then you can see from there if you want to increase that, if you're able to do that. And always remember that it's not always easy to know every visitor who visits. As a pastor, if you're pastoring a smaller church, maybe it is, right? Because it's very obvious. But in medium-sized churches and larger churches, we don't always know every visitor who visits. So that's why we encourage you guys to have some sort of way to connect with them when they come through. And even so, there's lots of people who will come and visit a church, and they might have received a postcard, they've come in to visit, but they're not going to want to put their information on a connection card or visit someone at Guest Central after the worship gathering. So just got to keep that in mind. We just certainly appreciate you taking your time to be here with us. Again, this is a a resource and a tool that we think is absolutely awesome and will be very effective for your churches. So God bless you all. Thank you for your time. Again, outreach.com/newmover, or you can call 800-991-6011 and speak to one of our outreach specialists. Thank you so much, and God bless.